and gentlemen. My name is Wayne Burke, and it gives me great pleasure to be bringing you Building AI Tactical Skills for Hacking and Defense. I'd like to start off by, first of all, thanking Goppus for organizing and arranging this webinar. It's going to be a lot of fun. And whilst we're waiting for the folks to log in, we're going to get you warmed up with a little bit of an introduction to AI from a pretty well-known actor.
Welcome to YouTube Original Stages, once home to Howard Hughes' Spruce Goose assembly hangar and home to much of the first Iron Man, filmed 12 years ago. Many happy memories here. And speaking of taking a look back, technology. It's advancing faster and taking less time to be widely adopted than ever before. Like, as in it took roughly 10,000 years to go from writing to printing press, but only about 500 more to get to email. Now it seems we're at the dawn of a new age, the age of AI, artificial intelligence. Please define.
AI is a branch of computer science dealing with the simulation of intelligent behavior in computers.
Yeah, okay, there you have it. What does it mean? I don't know. Tons of folks are working on it, right? Most people don't know that much about it, and of course, there's no shortage of data or opinions. Anyway, I've heard it said that the best way to learn about a subject is to teach it. But to level with you, I have a wildly incomplete education. Not in my day job, where I've been AI adjacent for over a decade. Anyway, I figured now would be as good a time as any to catch up on the state of things regarding this emerging phenomenon. My sense of it is it kind of feels like Pandora's box, maybe-ish. Much of my understanding on this topic has come from sci-fi stories, which usually depict us heading towards Shangri-La or dystopia. Like most things, I suspect the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Now, along the way, we'll demystify some common misconceptions about things we thought we understood, but probably don't. Terms such as machine learning, algorithms, computer vision, and big data, they will be conveniently unpacked to help us feel like we know what we're doing. Kinda. By the way, Pandora's box. What in the box? It was a clay jar. How about that? Demystified.
AI is teaching the machine, and the machine becoming smart.
Each time we create a more powerful technology, we create a bigger lever for changing the world.
Autonomous driving started.
It's an extraordinary time, one of unprecedented change and possibility. To help us understand what's happening, this series will look at innovators pushing the boundaries of AI and how their groundbreaking work is profoundly impacting our lives and the world around us. In this episode, we'll meet two different visionaries exploring identity, creativity, and collaboration between humans and machines.
Intelligence used to be the province of only humans, but it no longer is. We don't program the machines, they learn by themselves.
We have always hypothesized that if we can link the nerves of a human being to a bionic limb, the limb would become part of the person, part of identity.
Topping out.
Remarkably, it's happened.
Cyborg power.
It's a tall peak, but pales in comparison to the one Hugh is ultimately trying to climb.
We also have the goal of extending human capability beyond a physiological function. Jump higher, run faster. So Bionics not only seeks to achieve normative function in humans, but also to extend human expression beyond what people were born with.
Human enhancement and augmentation have been around through human history and mythology, from Prometheus stealing fire to the Civil War. Using tools to improve our abilities is a fundamental human development, whether it's stone spears to protect our families or airplanes to transport us farther.
And that's really what we're seeing, the transformation of society, and not just racing, not just sports. He's really using these AI tools, and they'll become commonplace, won't be thought about otherwise.
AI and machine learning, they're just tools, ones that make us stronger, smarter, faster.
AI will play an increasingly dominant role across all the many dimensions of what it means to be human.
There's a good chance AI will continue to enhance us in ways both known and unknown, eventually becoming as invisible as the air we breathe.
That narrative will play out across all types of human conditions that will enhance human capability, fundamentally change who we are as a human race.
The question then becomes, if it does, what do we do with our newfound superpowers?
Alrighty, well, let's jump straight into it. This is going to be a lot of fun. So this is a little bit about my background. Started way back in the industry of IT with a Commodore 64 ZX Spectrum. I come from a police background from South Africa, you might tell with the accent. My wife is from the Czech Republic, and it gives me a great honor and pleasure to be presenting this to you folks. We have huge geopolitical instabilities all over the world, and we really need to be able to get a grip on hacking and defense. I've come from the world of computer hardware, MCSC, MCT, way back in NT4 days. And as the technology changed, so I started following the different in-demand topics. I'm currently based out in the USA, and we work in a small, predominantly veteran-owned company called Cyber2 Labs. Now, you can go out and do a little bit more work researching, but the reality behind everything nowadays is technology, humans are augmented with new technologies that we call artificial intelligence and machine learning. There's going to be a lot of information that I share with you. This is a free global AI symposium coming up in October for 3 days. So do take note, this webinar is being recorded, and you'll be able to go back through, take it slowly. And of course, if there's anything you missed through the live seminar, webinar, you're going to be able to, of course, take everything you need from the recorded session. So we really need to look at AI, machine learning, to help us engineer a better future. We know that the planet is undergoing some major changes because of the way we've been treating the planet, and all of the things that people are reading in the news, online, it could be effectively manipulated by artificial intelligent bots. So today's agenda, we're going to be kicking off with an introduction to AI, machine learning. We'll be looking at some news, the demand of skills, and how much extra money you can potentially be making just by augmenting your cyber capabilities with artificial intelligence. So effectively allowing AI, ML to augment us. It's a little bit like a farmer. When a farmer got a tractor, it didn't replace the farmer. It really augmented the farmer's ability, enabling that farmer to produce and do a lot more efficiency, when it comes to farming. So we'll be looking at AI for hacking and defense, where we're looking at trying to help people understand that we're not here to sell you a certification, where many of you have gone through a lot of certifications already. So as an example, you might come from a Microsoft background, or you may have taken the Certified Ethical Hacker program or other skill-based courses that have a certification. We're not here to build up more certifications. We're here to give you skills that you can use to do a better job. So right off the bat, let's take a quick look at an introduction to AI.
Artificial intelligence isn't coming, it's here. It's the defining technology of our time. But it's human ingenuity that makes it so powerful. Jane started losing her vision when she was 12.
California Street.
She uses Seeing AI.
I crept down
the stairs and out the door,
which enables her to read and navigate her world. Microsoft AI is helping farmers adapt to climate change.
We can use technology to help feed the world without wrecking the planet.
Enabling wildlife conservation.
The ability to use AI really democratizes science. WildMe uses images from any source to help study endangered species.
And creating new ways for people with hearing loss to communicate.
I want the exact same information that my hearing friends have.
It's more than just imitating intelligence or sounding like a human. Microsoft AI is changing every industry, from healthcare.
And now you can see these finite details, the relationship with many structures,
to engineering and telecommunications.
We are using artificial intelligence to change the way we are relating to customers.
AI lets us put people first.
The Microsoft tools really enabled us to breathe digital life into an iconic brand persona.
The product that we make is not a thing in a box.
No.
Microsoft AI empowers others to create experiences and potential. This is just the beginning.
Artificial intelligence, it's just opened up this whole world.
The future we invent is a choice we make.
So when we talk about machine learning, we need to understand machine learning is part of artificial intelligence, right? It's the foundation for most AI solutions. And this is not new. You know, when I speak to our company president, who is a retired Navy guy, and I get all excited about this new technology, he's always like, yeah, we're building this in the 1980s. The only difference is in the 1980s, we didn't have the kind of processing power and storage capacity. So most of our modern applications that you're using day to day in your mobile phones have some form of artificial intelligence technologies being injected into it. So making sure we understand the difference between AI and machine learning, they work hand in hand, but take a quick look at this 2-minute clip.
Right now, artificial intelligence helps us meet the needs of today so we're prepared for tomorrow.
By 2050, we need to produce 60% more food. So how are we going to feed the world without wrecking the planet? Using Microsoft artificial intelligence, we can reduce waste and produce more food. Any grower will tell you every row, every crop is different. We can use Microsoft AI to make local predictions about light, wind, rain. This helps farmers know when to plant, irrigate, and harvest. It's making a difference.
Artificial intelligence helps farmers grow more while wasting less.
So the part that you're all interested in is, well, how much better is it going to make our jobs, right? So when we're looking at our job statistics, this is from reputable sources where you can see the demand for AI and machine learning for skills that people are able to actually use this in their jobs. It's skyrocketing. This was according to a report by LinkedIn. AI and machine learning jobs have grown by 74% annually, and that's just in the past 4 years. The surge is really driven by companies across various sectors, from financial companies to hospitals, healthcare, retail shops, and of course, they're all looking to leverage AI machine learning to gain a competitive edge. So we can see there's going to be a huge market size that is continuously growing. So a staggering $407 billion by 2027. And that's where we can see AI will have an estimated 21% net increase. This is just in the United States by 2030. And overall, over 75% of consumers are concerned about misinformation from AI. That's because there's new applications that they're releasing, like social media applications that you may have heard about it already, but it's like Facebook, except it's not Facebook, it's AI bots. So you're going to be getting all of your posts liked. Nobody's going to be negative. Nobody's going to tell you bad things. And so with all of these kind of problems that we're facing with the sheer growth of the population, you might be asking yourself, how do we actually build job skills so we can better solve the current future problems? And that's the part we need to understand. Human beings are problem solvers. Using technology and computers are there to help us solve problems. So perhaps some practical hands-on education with and through GOPIS. We're going to be out at HackerFest 2024, where before the actual conference, we're going to be delivering AI Azure Incident Response. Now, we know this is crucial where we're going to teach people to get skills. It's not where you can take a lot of Microsoft certifications. We're not here to interfere with certifications. We're here to augment what you've already done and take you to the next level where you're going to build new job skills, where you're going to build job skills in IoT, in Microsoft Azure, as an example, or the generic cloud. And we're going to be doing that through building your AI tactical skills. What that means is it's like you learn to ski or snowboard, right? The first couple of times you go and ski or snowboard, you're going to be a little bit shaky on the ski slope. But as you build your repetition, your skills, you're going to have more techniques to be able to, of course, ski and snowboard more effectively. So we're releasing an array of different programs. And the reason why I'm doing this, folks, is, growing up in South Africa, England, and America, and the Czech Republic for the most part. My Czech is not very good, so I'm not going to speak Czech much because you'll need more than translators and maybe AI. But I will tell you that having experienced many a times near-death experiences there, where I know for me personally that I'm more than the body. And so I want to give back to society, making sure that we can try and reduce the amount of global instability with the geopolitical standpoint. We got wars happening left, right, and center. And what can make this world a better place? If we take some of the actual abilities that we have as human beings and increase that, because right now we're not able to control the sheer amount of attacks that are targeting companies, personal, people that might be trading in cryptocurrency. It is affecting everybody from the person on the street all the way up to those very big companies. So some statistics from Forbes Advisor, some of the 24 top AI statistics and trends. When we look at the sheer uptick of a large language model known as ChatGPT, it had 1 million users within the first 5 days of being available. That remarkable adoption is very clear indication of what's to come. 1 in 10 motor cars will be self-driving by 2030. That's like 6 years away. 64% of businesses expect AI to increase productivity. So that means they're going to expect technical engineers to increase their productivity and their capable, workload to be more efficient by using these tools that will not replace most jobs. Now, there are going to be some jobs that it may replace. However, it's still going to require us to be doing a lot of the training. And so right now we are in a very immature, environment where we can't say for certain what it will or won't be. But half of the US mobile users use voice search every day. So we can tell that AI powered technologies are interjected in so many different ways in everyday life. So we expected to see an annual growth rate of 37.3%. That's just from 2023 to 2030. A quarter of companies are adopting AI because there's a shortage of labor skills. Now, this is the part where when we talk about a shortage of skills, there's a lot of people that are qualified. They go to university, you get a degree, or you go to a professional organization, you get certified. But that doesn't necessarily mean you can do the job. When you go and do training and you get certified, that's certifying that you have studied and learned the knowledge. But you've really got to understand that knowledge is just one aspect. You need knowledge, which equates to potential building of skills, which equals your abilities. Now, we know Chinese companies have had the highest adoption rate of AI, with 58% of companies in China deploying AI and 30% considering integration. And so it's all about the human workforce and the employment impacts. 77% of people are concerned that AI will cause job losses in the next year. It absolutely will cause job losses, but guess what? It's also going to create a lot more potential jobs. You don't necessarily have to have very deep programming skills to work in every area within artificial intelligence machine learning. So 400 million workers could be displaced because of AI. However, how many more millions of jobs are going to be created? So from the statistics, we can see, well, maybe 97 million jobs, according to the World Economic Forum. So software engineers, data engineers, they're all being recruited now to ensure the companies can continue to evolve. So let's get into what this is all about, right? What does it mean to do hacking and defense when many of you have, let's say, gone through a certified ethical hacker program? You've seen this methodology, I'm sure, before, right? You start off with finding weaknesses in a computer system. You're looking at information gathering. You're going to gather information. You're going to map the network. You're then going to look to find vulnerabilities manually. Then you're going to attempt to penetrate a potential weakness you found, thereby gaining access to the system. Now, you might have gained lower, privileges, so you're going to have to elevate privileges through privilege escalation. And then you enumerate, you compromise remote users, you pivot into other networks. You then try and create a backdoor so that if your server is rebooted, you're going to still maintain command and control. And then finally, the ninth step there is covering your tracks. So we're not replacing the methodology. The methodologies don't change very rapidly. It's the actual tools that keep changing. So all we're going to be doing is giving you new augmentation to use the standard tools you were using before with a little bit of AI and machine learning injection, whether you're going to be using large language models, LLMs, or you're going to be using machine learning, or you're going to be using maybe one of the devices we'll be showing you later on is Ponagotchi. It's a Raspberry Pi Zero, very small form factor computer that uses reinforced learning, your A2C reinforced learning. So there's all different algorithms we can use. There's a ton of things happening, and we're going to take you right from the very beginning into the world of AI. This is an example tool that's now infused with AI. It's called MBA. It's a German developer that created this. This is all open source. And you can see it now adds AI-supported firmware analysis. So it's not replacing you, the engineer, that has to go out and do the reverse engineering, let's say, of the firmware. Like, as an example, we all know we've been alerted globally that a lot of home wireless access points, your routers, your routers, as they'll call them in Europe, so your routers, as we call them in America, are very much manufactured in China. And so we are going to have to look at better ways of finding weaknesses, because many of these are plugged into businesses, into homes, and people are not aware that their own wireless access point is vulnerable to, state-sponsored attackers using that to launch attacks within localized countries. So all of these tools, you will see there's hundreds of these different tools. I've just taken a few. Now, some of you who may still be concerned with the ins and outs of augmenting our human abilities, this is a research paper from the United Kingdom Ministry of Defense in partnership with Germany. And you can see the table of contents over here. It starts off with better understanding the capabilities of augmenting humans, right? So the technology that can be used. But there's going to be some ethical and legal considerations. There's going to be some implications for society. There's definitely going to be implications for defense. And then there's deep dive into the methodology. So I really encourage you to dive deep and make sure you read in some of these research papers, because as you will see, AI is going to be used in every element within IT, generalized technology, not just cybersecurity. However, it is very much being used in cybersecurity because we're not able to detect attack vectors. Here's a quick example. One of the American governmental bodies, it was the CISA.gov, they went out and did a penetration test for an organization that was another government organization, And that government organization did not detect that they had been hacked for 4 years. So 4 years had passed, and that organization were not aware they were hacked. It was a very long-term research project because it was the government hacking themselves to see the capabilities to be able to detect the attack vectors. So we're going to see AI in threat detection, whether it be for anomaly detection, malware analysis, intrusion detection, risk management, automation, user authentication, and then your general data protection. A very good friend of mine, pretty well known, Win, he's at a lot of conferences all over the world. He's just released this book literally 2 days ago called The Art and Science of Meta War: How to Coexist with an AI-Driven Reality Distortion, Disinformation, and the Potential Addiction in Meta, or the metaverse. And you can see that was just a short overview of what's to come. The reality behind this is, we start looking at, do you believe reality is only a keystroke away? Your brain is a time machine? And so these are things that medically we couldn't have proved 10 years ago. But nowadays, with all this new technology, I mean, come on, even Ray-Ban sunglasses are now coming to be made smarter with Meta AI. These are products that are already released. The careers that are currently right now with 5 years plus experience within AI ML, the current salary range, now this is in the United States. I know some of you are going like, it would be nice if it was in the Czech Republic or in Slovakia, but that is between $210,000 to $358,000 per year. Just when you have understanding of frameworks like TensorFlow or PyTorch, you're looking at a machine learning engineer or a lower level security AI with just 3 years of experience, let's say using machine learning libraries, again, PyTorch, TensorFlow. That pay scale is about $137,000 to $200,000. That's generally within the company sector of communications. And then when you have a senior AI security engineer with 6 years security, graduate to university degree, and this is looking at e-commerce, you're going all the way up to $262,000 per year. AI's everywhere. Today we're using Teams, but as you're going to see, more and more technology for online collaboration is being infused. This is called Zoomtopia. This is where there's going to be a free streaming conference on October 9th again. And when we look into this, this is where you're going to see how AI is going to be enriching your sales and marketing, your financial services, your online collaboration, and absolutely your technical workplace. These are just a few examples. So let's jump into some of the hands-on now, folks, where we want to make this more interactive. What you're about to see is in 2016, this was a tutorial that I wrote on building a Raspberry Pi. So this little black box over here is the computer, and this little blue Movidius neural compute stick from Intel is your actual AI accelerator, right? So you'll see a little bit more information where I'm going to show you what we did when this was now nearly 8 years ago. So we look at some of the initial incarnations of this hardware technology. This is a Raspberry Pi running a weaponized Wi-Fi de-authing and attack framework called Ponagotchi, all again infused with AI. Ponagotchi is using reinforced learning. And then we have our wonderful NVIDIA, the Nano Jetson, where again you can prototype in the cloud or by using physical devices. So having a look at deploying AI using a Raspberry Pi, a camera, and the Intel Neural Compute Stick. Let's have a look at some of the specifics.
AI is moving to the network edge. Now, Intel makes developing computer vision and AI inference applications for edge and IoT devices easier than ever with the new Intel Neural Compute Stick 2. An affordable USB-based development kit that enables testing, tuning, and prototyping of deep neural networks directly on devices without the need of a network or cloud connection.
Now, as you're going to realize, this is not the high-end, NVIDIA dedicated AI boxes, but this is a cheap alternative to get you started with some of the fundamentals within AI. So let's take this to the next level. Now we want to show you the typical workflow for development when you looking to build AI solutions. You start off with the very left-hand side over here. You can see your training. Your training is not going to be done on your Raspberry Pi with your neural compute stick. It's not powerful enough, but you can do your profiling, tuning, and compiling, and then moving on to your actual prototyping. So you can actually prototype all sorts of different API connecting to different types of IoT sensors as an example. And this is taking you through the actual installation of your neural compute stick. So generally you've got two modes: your full software developer kit mode, where you're going to install both the toolkit and the API framework on the Raspberry Pi, or you can install the API only. So install only the API framework on the Pi, which obviously is great for profiling and compiling your networks, but so at least faster installation, but your profiling and compiling networks, that should be done on a more dedicated laptop or desktop, much more powerful machine. So remember, this is a walk down memory lane. This is not how we would do it now. This is to help you all understand the fundamentals of building artificial intelligent solutions. We will have 10 minutes at the end of the webinar for some questions. So the first thing you're going to do is to run some of your Debian and Python dependencies. As you can see, these are step-by-step instructions. You can still go and pick up a Movidius neural compute stick, and you can actually follow through with this exact same tutorial that is part of our hacker and defense program that we're going to be launching in the next couple of weeks. So step 4, you're going to compile and install your API framework. So you can see the screenshots. We're not going to do it as a live demonstration right now because we wanted to make sure that everybody had the opportunity within an hour time frame to at least conceptually have a very good insight to what is the process of using AI in building all sorts of different types of projects. So once you've actually done the initial compiling, then you want to install some of the sample code. Here you can use the Neural Compute app Zoo, the application called Zoo, and you would go ahead, you can see by cloning their NCA or the NC app Zoo, and then you're going to be able to basically run that Python script simply to test the device to make sure that the software and all the dependencies and everything's been installed. And as you'll see in the bottom section there, your NCS device is working. So that's confirming that you've installed, in this case and in this demonstration, we just installed the API only mode. Now, some of you may have heard of OpenCV. Very, very, very powerful. It wasn't always going to be open source because some of the big enterprise companies were looking to try and commercialize this, but it is still open source. Luckily, it is your computer vision. It is a very, very, very big part of technology nowadays because it's your open computer vision system where you can go ahead and install this on a Linux system, on an Apple Mac, on a Windows platform. You can build from source, and you need to have good Python, C++, Android, and JavaScript are supported. So it is one of the biggest computer vision libraries, contains over 2,500 algorithms. It's operated by the nonprofit Open Source Vision Foundation. And really, it's just a library of programming functions, right? That's really aimed at real-time computer vision. So it also supports the deep learning frameworks that I'm sure many of you may already be familiar with: TensorFlow, Torch, PyTorch. And so in the next section, we need to add a graph. So the basic workflow is to use the Movidius software developer kit, which is going to be used to convert your trained deep learning model so that it can be in a format that the neural compute stick actually understands. So that, of course, it's making your job that is normally done on a development machine. So the key here is the graph. But the term may not be too clear, and this is the big issue with technology nowadays. Within AI ML, there's all of these new terminologies, these algorithms, the deep neural networks. It is just overflowing with terminology that you might not always understand. So you can go ahead and add a graph to your Raspberry Pi. This is from a previous article that was written. So you're going to use the SDK to convert your trained deep learning model so that the neural compute stick can understand. And that's normally done on a much more powerful development machine. So to save you time, you can still download a pre-converted graph, which is actually based on Caffe, your implementation of the Google MobileNet SSD detection network, which generally is just a deep learning model that's been simply trained to recognize 20 objects. Things like an aeroplane, a bicycle, a bird, a boat, bottle, bus, car, and some of these typical types of devices. Once you've downloaded the pre-converted graph file, you can then place it into your actual workspace on your SSD mobile net, and then you will be able to actually run your live object detector. So this is showing you from a Movidius app Zoo. You might not be able to see it too clear because I was recording this. I took a photograph of my Raspberry Pi little 7-inch screen. So you can see this is a live working prototype that I built in 2016. Now, not to go too far off the lines though, but you can also run this system as a security camera. Excuse this gentleman's, this is not my backside, okay? I don't know, it's another developer's backside, but this is, of course, showing you if somebody was going to be trying to climb through your window as an example, or to climb out of your window. So if we added email alerts and some file housekeeping to this example code, then we would quickly have a candidate for replacing maybe our very expensive AWS Power smart security camera. So again, we're able to do so many things with AI. And in summary, we looked at a hands-on install of a Raspberry Pi using your Movidius neural compute stick. We installed OpenCV, we added a graph, and then we're able to actually run the live object detector by using the Movidius app Zoo. We've got a few more minutes left where I know many of you folks are very much in the cloud. Now, my skills range from Google, Oracle, Azure, and AWS. And of course, some of the other cloud providers like the German, the name slips my mind for a second, OVH Cloud, a German company. So many of us are already using some forms of AI in the cloud. But we have to realize with the cybersecurity field facing a shortfall, meaning a shortage of 3.5 million unfilled jobs. Remember, as I said to you, you go to school, you get a certification or you get a degree. That doesn't guarantee that you have the skills to do the job. I might go and watch a documentary or a training video on how to snowboard, but unless I go and put my, feet in or on a snowboard and get on the slope, I'm not going to be developing my skills. We learn by doing. Once you've got the foundation from the books, learning from the book is critical. But right now, we've got a huge shortage of skilled, unfilled jobs. because everybody's gone out there and got more and more certifications, which doesn't guarantee that you have the latest and the greatest of skills. So I can tell you right now, from a company that we are specializing in digital forensics, we specialize in penetration testing, building reverse deceptive network artificial intelligent decoys. What that means is when somebody breaks into your network, and I said when because it's almost not going to be if, it's when, you're going to have to be able to defend. And that's why we release in hacking and defense. We teach you how to break into your system so you can test the system by using a lot of the artificial intelligent machine learning technologies. The criminals are already using huge amounts of AI ML in their nefarious, their malicious activities. So when we see somebody with 20 certifications, we're generally not going to invite them for an interview. Not because we don't think it's good, but we realize that they've spent too much time getting certified and not enough time building their skills. So some advice that you really need to be taken seriously is you need to be developing your skills. When COVID hit, right, the pandemic came out, we all had our world turned upside down. And I was doing more managerial work and less hands-on technical engineering. And at that time, I realized when I had to go back to the keyboard and do some engineering, I was like, holy crap, I need to go and practice building my skills again, because if you don't use that knowledge, as they say, use it or lose it. So we have to be a lot more responsible when developing AI. Let's go back in time and look at the very first AI solution that Microsoft released. Within 24 hours, that system had to be taken offline because it had become racist, it had become violent. And so I encourage you to go and look at all the resources that Microsoft have available called Microsoft Responsible AI. They've got a huge array of tools already, which we'll be talking more about. So this is a document you can go and read. It's the General Responsible AI Standard version 2, giving you some of the general requirements. And you can see this is helping us understand the goals of accountability, the goals of transparency, on being fair, the reliability and safety, and the privacy and security, and then finally, the inclusiveness. So a quick example of some failures now, right? Where these are serious, folks, these are serious cases where you have to understand, we know that this is augmenting our abilities. It's not replacing people for the most part, but it's going to speed up our jobs so we can do more with less time. So this was a real case. Two lawyers were cited because they went and they used ChatGPT, your large language models. And it was pretty funny because you've all heard of the term hallucinations. Now, hallucinations are because AI is so intelligent that if you ask it something like, hey, ChatGPT, please go and tell me which previous cases have matched certain criteria, well, because it couldn't find that information, it made it up. So it made up lawsuits that have happened in the past that were not real. So the judge punished them because they didn't bother to verify the ChatGPT output. So once again, we're in a very mature arena right now where we're at the beginning stages of doing some amazing things, but some things are not going to always work out the box. We've had some failures that are a little bit worse than just lawyers, right? So AI effectively is on trial because of these hallucinations. So the statistics here, 1 out of 6 or more benchmarking queries. Basically, a new study reveals the need for benchmarking and your public evaluations of your AI tools that are going to be used in the legal law industry. This was another lawsuit where they did the same thing. They didn't go and validate the output, and they were fined or sanctioned $2,000. So nothing major, but we realize that this is where people just believe everything that ChatGPT gives them. We should take the position of what we better call zero trust. don't trust it until you verify and validate everything. So many people, the older generation, will go and believe everything they read online. Just because they've read it online, they think it's real. It's not, fake, right? Because they haven't been given the awareness of, hey, you need to go and verify this information. Maybe it's by somebody who wants to scam you, or they want to make money criminally. So what is red teaming? Now, this is some of the information from Microsoft's red team that was established in 2018. It's effectively described as your systematic adversarial attacks for us to be able to better test our security vulnerabilities. So with the rise of large language models, your LLMs, the term has extended way beyond your traditional cybersecurity. But if you've ever gone out and you started trying to use your LLMs to build your code, you realize that it might build your code for you pretty quickly, but many of you developers realize that we still have to debug the code. Whilst it might take AI 5 minutes to write the code for you, it might take you the next 2 weeks to debug it and to ensure that it functions. So LLMs, both benign and adversarial usage, can produce potentially harmful outputs, which could take many different forms, like harmful content such as hate speech. And we need to be very careful because it's not older, more mature adults that are as severely affected as it is for the younger generation. If you've got younger kids, even my son, who right now is so interested in all technologies, he's building all sorts of things with Merkur and all these different tools that they come in a kit, and you've got to build it all up, right? So glorification of violence and even of sexual content. We've got to ensure we deploy this technology responsibly so that, we've got some great tools that can help us. This is an open source tool that Microsoft released some time ago called Pirate, the Python risk identification tool for generative AI. It's open source for automation. It's a framework to empower security professionals as well as your machine learning engineers that can more proactively find risks in their generative AI systems. You can see some of the components there, but I've got around about 13 seconds before we're going to drop this into a Q&A. And I didn't want to make it where it's so fast, but we realized you can only fit so much information into an hour. And we wanted to give you some insight into what you can expect. I'm not a salesperson, I'm an engineer, but I want to tell you right now that we are not able to stop a lot of the attack vectors without augmenting our abilities with automation. So here you can see as an example from Unit 42, which is part of Palo Alto Networks, harnessing LLMs to better automate your BOLA detection. Now, what does BOLA mean? It's a nice technical term for broken object level authorization. So by automating some of your detection at scale, they've been able to show very promising results, being able to better predict and actually identify vulnerabilities in open source projects much faster than if it was just a human team without augmenting their abilities with AI ML technologies. Now, it's of course not defined yet, but your AI and your declassification, the question is, will your large language models bring more or less transparency? Well, the truth is out there, but it's not really set in stone yet because we have to continue to build better guardrails to better protect how we can send and retrieve information from our LLMs. But of course, this is the whole purpose of us wanting to bring new technologies to the industry. And you can see how Microsoft back in 2002 started with the good old trustworthy computing. That was pretty funny. And then they brought out software development cycles, right? Your SDLs in 2004. They then set up their red team for cloud infrastructure and service testing in 2014, where the eventual start of a dedicated team for artificial intelligence kicked off in 2018. So this is a nice depiction of the Microsoft AI Red Team journey. And as you can see, some of the great tools that they've already released. We mentioned Pirate. You can also go and take a look at the counterfeit tool for open source solutions as well. So those are all tools that have been open sourced. And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I want to thank Goppus again, and I want to thank you all for sharing your time with me today. We want to break out to a short 5-10 minutes of questions if you'd like to type them. I'm going to turn my camera off and stop sharing my screen so that we can actually view the questions as they'll come in. So we still are available. Please take note if you would like to connect with us, either connect through Goppus, whether it be Goppus in the Czech Republic or in Slovakia. We're going to be working with both of the branches, and we really look forward to visiting you in September for HackerFest. And we're going to be running an AI Azure workshop before HackerFest, where we're going to be giving you a lot of training where it's going to be 80% hands-on. Nothing like killing you with thousands of slides. It's going to be projects that we're going to be building solutions in the cloud. You're going to, on some of the courses, get really cool hardware dedicated devices to take home with you as well. And on that note, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let's see if we've got any questions.